All right. Get it going right here, right now. This is Eyes Up Here, and you're watching a brand new Eyes Up Here exclusively on our YouTube channel. Full episode available to our members right now. And we are coming to you live from the Eyes Up Here studio. If you didn't know by now, my name is Chad, and as always, I'm joined by the one and only queen of extreme, Francine, who's vibing right now to the music. I like it.
Love this song. Gets you in a good mood, man. You know?
It gets you going, right?
Yeah, it's got such a good aura about it. I just love it so much.
I do. I love it as well. Like when I put the videos up, like, you know, and the little stinger at the end plays. I hate when it gets cut off because I'm like, I like it. Keep going.
Yeah, I let it run to the end because I love this song so much. It should be my ringtone. It
should. So what's going on in the kingdom, Queen?
I'm telling you, man, this week has been just difficult. I have so many things that I need to get done to myself. And I think I touched base. Did I talk about it the last show that I went to my primary?
Yes, you did.
Okay. So yesterday I went to the gynecologist. Now, before you start making faces, ew, that's so gross. Ew, gross. I don't want to hear it.
Hey, I'm not gonna make a face. I mean, you got to do it. I mean, I just, you know.
Women have to go get their hoo-has checked. That is just, it's a staple of life. You have to go.
I just don't want to hear my mom talking about it. Okay, everybody else can. I just don't want to hear my mom say it.
Because I think I know I'm in menopause. I mean, I'm 51 years old. I have to be in menopause. Like, my cycle has been so not normal. And I just thought that it was something that happens. Like it's a thing. You know what I mean? So I didn't think anything of it. And the doctor, who isn't my regular doctor, I usually see a man. He wasn't available. And he wasn't available till November. And I didn't want to wait that long. So I have this female. She was very nice, by the way. First time meeting her. But she walks in and she asked me what's going on. I was telling her, I said, sometimes I get an irregular period. Sometimes I get it twice a month, which is not cool. It's, every 2 weeks. Sometimes I skip. Sometimes it's normal. I said, but it's menopause, so it's fine. And she goes, it's not fine. And then now I'm panicking. I'm like, what do you mean it's not fine? I thought it was fine. I thought it was menopause.
Oh, boy.
Well, here, it's not good to get 2 periods in a month. So she's like, I have to do extra testing on you today. And I'm like, what do you need to do? And here, I'm naked in the stirrups, just sitting there with my little robe on. And she's like, well, it's this procedure. And she pulls out, it's covered, but she pulls out, it looked like a stick that you would put a marshmallow on to toast marshmallow. It was like this long. And she goes, well, this has to go up you. And then we pump. And I'm like, huh? What? Did I walk into a porn? Like, what is going on? It's a different test than the PAP. It's 15 seconds of pressure, and they have to collect. I guess they're collecting stuff off of the side of my uterus. And she goes, it's very uncomfortable. Women cramp for 24 to 48 hours after it's over. So, get your Advil ready. She goes, if you don't want to do it today, you can always come back. And I looked at her and I go, look at me. I said, I'm sitting here spread eagle naked. I said, you're doing it today because I'm not coming back just for this. I said, let's do it. So I had to get all this other stuff done. And then she did that. And it was uncomfortable, not going to lie. And it was a little crampy. And then she was like, you're going to go get a mammogram? And I said, yes. And she goes, did anyone ever tell you have really dense breasts? I go,
dense,
which my girlfriends have dense breasts. Like everybody in the world has dense breasts. And I said, yeah, they've told me before. She goes, yeah, you need an ultrasound along with your mammogram.
Oh, jeez.
Like, really? So now I think I have 7 scripts upstairs.
Oh,
right? So I go, okay, well, when do I need to get this done by? And she goes, within the next 2 to 3 weeks. So I'm like, oh, friggin' hell. So she goes, and I'll just call you. She goes, I won't make you come in. I'll call you. We'll go over the results. Hopefully you're fine. And I'm like, okay, well, Did you ever try to schedule one thing over the phone, let alone 7? It's not possible. There's no way. I literally drove to the place that does the imaging, and I put it on the table, and I was like, almost in tears. I go, can somebody help me schedule all these things? Because I really don't know what I'm supposed to do. And the lady was very nice. She inputted all the information in the computer. And then she's like, somebody will call you and schedule it over the phone. But we have it in front of us, so it's easier to tell what you need.
Right.
Didn't I miss the friggin' phone call because they called at 5:03 last night?
And then when you call back, does it go to
I couldn't get them today because they said, oh, the wait time is longer than expected. I was like,
right, yeah. Instead of just going straight to a person, it goes to the general number.
Yeah.
But when they call you, it goes right to you.
Right. There was no, she didn't leave an extension. It was like, I'm like, oh my God. So now I have to get all these tests done. And then once every test is done, I have to go to the GI. He will look at the results of the CAT scan for my stomach where I'm having the most problems. Because when I eat, it hurts and it expands, which is not supposed to happen. There's bloating, anything I eat. It doesn't matter if I eat a cracker or if I eat like a full 7-course meal, I expand and with pain. And it feels like somebody's in there like an alien and is pushing on my stomach. It's very painful to eat. And I hate eating anymore. It sucks because I really like my food. I'm a foodie, you know. But after like all that happens, then I have to get the upper and lower colonoscopy done. So I have to get all these tests run, then go see the GI, figure out what's here, and then do the upper and lower thing. So I'm going to have tests well through Christmas time.
Any place else you want to get something done?
I don't want to get anything done.
Behind your front.
Let me tell you something which I did not know. I told you this the other day. If you're listening and you're over 45, they changed it. It used to be 50. Now it's 45. They want you to get the upper and lower gimmick done, the colonoscopy. So if you're 45 years old, go talk to your doctor.
That was when the Queen of Extreme.
Are you 80? Did you get it done yet?
You misaged me.
I did
greatly, and but with great concern. I was
very concerned for you.
I was very touched for your, general care for my health.
I know.
But misaged me by a couple of years.
4 years. I'm so sorry. No, but seriously, like, it used to be 50. So I was like, oh, I'm only a year past it. And the doctor's like, oh no, you're 6 years past it. And I think once you get it done, I think you're good for like 5 years or maybe 10 years until you have to do the next one. So I kind of want to get it over with. But like my sister-in-law got it done and she got an infection from it and got really sick. And I'm like, well, I don't want to get sick. Come on. I just want to get everything over with, you know?
Yeah. I would think when you say you have dense boobs,
That's
that boobs are, you hear somebody's dense, you say that you're referring to them not being very smart. So your boobs, you say they're dense boobs, they're not very smart boobs.
2 dunce caps on each breast, like one here, one here.
It's like the Madonna cones, right? You put the cones on top.
No, they're just,
wow, what a week.
Listen, my implants popped, so I don't have implants anymore. So this is just all me now. And I'm still a 34D and they're heavy and they're thick and they're dense and there's nothing I can do about it, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of women, once they get older, their breasts are dense. And when you do a mammogram, it comes up hazy. You can't see everything. So now they want to put me in an ultrasound and explore and look more. And I'm just like, great, let's add it on. So now I got 42 papers upstairs and I'm super confused and I don't know where I'm going for anything. And when we're done here, I have to go make a phone call and try to figure it out and get it all done. So,
and that's the lead. That's the headline on the dirt sheets. Francine has dense, heavy boobs.
Yeah, report it. That's today's news. I'm sure they'll run away with this and spin it. Maybe Hogan can tell a lie about it.
He'll come back and he'll be like, brother, there I was. My pec area was dense and heavy,
dense breast.
They refer to me as having dense pecs.
Hey man, if I could start a trend, why not? But it's scary. It's scary to have to get all this stuff done. Like I'm anxious about it, but in the same token, I'm like, well, they say it's more so routine. And once you get to a certain age, you have to keep up with your health. I mean, if you don't, it's just slowly going to kill you. So you need to get out there and do it. And I'm getting things done. So, it's exhausing.
Hey, I hear you. I was at the doctor myself twice this week. I had to get a follow up, and then I had to go for an injection. I got blood.
I got blood work done.
So
me too.
They must have used some super strip Band-Aid, because I've been trying to get the rest of the stuff off for the last 3 days. I can't get the rest of it off.
I say to the lady, look, I have really small veins. And she goes, yeah, I'm using a pediatric needle on you. It's like, okay, like a 2-year-old's needle. My veins are so tiny, but I drank water. Like, oh my God, I drank a ton of water the day before. And that morning I drank so much, I was peeing uncontrollably, which was good because I had to give a urine sample. So that worked out great. Yeah. So blood work. Oh, listen to this really quickly. I know.
Here we go.
No, this is good stuff. So my cholesterol, when I went to get the what was I getting? The stem cells done, and they ran blood work on me. My cholesterol was 316, which is outrageously high. And that doctor wanted to put me right on a cholesterol med. Right. And so my husband was like, absolutely not, because we don't know what the good is, what the bad is. They didn't do the two numbers. It was just the collective number was 316. So sometimes when your good cholesterol is high, they don't do anything for you. So he's like, we got to get the real number. So I started using a product, and we're not paid for this. This is not a sponsorship. I wish it was, because I would promote it. I'm telling you. There's a product, I believe it's Nature Made, called Cholesterol Off. You can get it through Amazon. If anybody has high cholesterol and you are considering going on medication, don't. I lowered my cholesterol by, I think, 65 points so far. And if you, and since Mom died, I haven't been in the gym, but I'm starting again on Sunday. So if you incorporate diet and exercise with it, I'm sure I'll get that number even lower.
Wow, but it lowered 65.
65 points.
Damn.
And I don't want to go on any meds. Like, I just don't want to take medication. And this is like a vitamin. You take 2 before you eat a big meal, and I take 4 a day. And it lowered it. So how great is that? It's still high. I'm still awesome. In the high range, but I'm going to get it lower. And I'm going to keep working at it. But I had to share that because, like, people don't know about it. And I did some research, and people were like, oh, yeah, it lowered my nut. Well, it lowered mine over 60 points, 65 points, I think it was. So cholesterol, Nature Made. Check it out. And if you're listening, cholesterol, please, I will promote the shit out of you.
That's a great one. Hey, we've had some natural products before. That'd be a great one.
I'm telling you, it worked. It worked. So I'm happy about that. And I'm just going to keep working. And I am devoted. My goal is WrestleMania weekend, because I'm booked at WrestleCon in Philly. My goal is to get in my super duper shape by April. And it starts this Sunday. I'm starting from scratch again. That's awesome. And I'm telling you, I'm getting there. You're going to see.
I got all faith in you. I think I know you can do it. I know you can do it.
I'm doing it. I am doing it because there's outfits that I want to wear. Did you see the tweet from Mr. Bubba Ray Dudley, by the way?
Oh, I saw it. I did see it. That was quite the that was quite the bum picture.
I said, yeah, this is the only picture that doesn't need a filter.
That was and one Devon Dudley. You could basically read the caption going, "Damn."
D's face was the best. And with all due respect to Bubba, he did ask me if it's okay to post. I thought that was very nice.
Quite the picture. That was quite the picture. Now, we got to talk about that.
That's my segue into
that was a big convention last weekend. 90s Wrestling Con.
Yes.
In Rockaway, New Jersey.
Tommy Fierro. First time I ever met him. Yep. By the way, 30 years it took me to meet this guy.
Tommy Fierro. Yep. Yeah. He's longtime promoter in the New Jersey area. You were there with your ECW family, and one big sexy Kevin Nash.
Kevin Nash was with
Quite
us.
the addition. So tell us, how was the convention?
So, we got there really early. We got there at 9:00. It didn't start till 10. I don't know why we got there so freaking early.
Wow, that's really early.
I got picked up at 7 a.m. So I was up at 5:30 and ready by 7, out the door, drove. And when we went because it was a mall, they couldn't charge for admission to the mall, because what are you going to do? People come and go in the mall. So what I noticed was we were separated. There were two different, like this side of the mall, and then you had to walk, and then there was this side of the mall. We were separated. So there was like 20 wrestlers on one side, 20 wrestlers on the other side. You had to walk like down the mall, down the hall, past a bunch of stores to get to the other side. So fans would, come see us, then go to the other side, or vice versa. But where we were sitting was roped off. It was like, kind of reminded me of caution tape. So I think the gimmick was somebody sat at a table and you had to pay to pass the caution tape. And that's how they charged for admission, because they couldn't charge you for walking into the mall.
Right.
But to get into the area where the wrestling people were, you have to, because they let me go, obviously, because I'm signing there, right? But everybody else had to pay to get in. So when I got there, first person I saw was Gary Wolf. Got to talk to him for a while. I saw, let's think, I'm going down where the table was. So I saw Crowbar. I don't think he stayed, but he popped in to say hello. It was Roadkill and Doring. It was Gary and Super Crazy. It was me and Devon and Bubba, Kevin Nash, Maven, Tatanka, and Jacqueline. There was a kiosk in the middle. It was like this round. It was weird. It was like this round thing where it looked like somebody would sell tickets or something behind it. In the middle was Mr. Hughes, Chris Chetty, who I haven't seen.
Hey, Chris Chetty, he's back.
Chris Chetty. It was a delight to see him. So Chris Chetty, Joel Gertner, Jason Knight, and Little Guido. And I believe that was our side. And then like on the other side, I know Sergeant Slaughter was there, Lex Luger, I think Scott Steiner, kind of like the WWF guys were on the opposite side, because ESS Promotions was running amok on that side with Eric Sims. So it was a lot of fun. They had like a VIP came in first, and then it was open to the general public, and it was a good turnout. I didn't, sometimes you go to these things and you're like, I don't think anybody's going to show up. No, people showed up. One of our listeners actually showed up. Oh God, his name, it's the guy, he comes to all of our lives. It starts with an I. Isbin. Yes. Thank you. Isbin, shout out to you. He brought me a bag, and it had an Atlantic City t-shirt, and he got me a little keychain, which was a slot machine, and then a little keychain, which was like a teddy bear. It was so cute. Nice. He said he drove 2.5 or 3 hours just to come meet me, which I was pleased at. And then I got to talk with him for a while. So thank you, Isbin, for coming out. There was another gentleman who flew from Arizona just for that event, which blew my mind, because he said there were so many ECW guys in attendance. He wanted to come and get everybody's signatures, which I thought was cool, because who flies from the West Coast for a mall signing? He did. There were a group that were cosplaying, and I think a lot of you saw the pictures. There were the Hardys, the Dudleys. There was the best Macho Man I think I've ever seen. You're shaking your head.
Can't stand that.
Well, they did it.
I can't stand that.
Let me tell you something.
Stay out of wrestling with that, please.
I loved it. This Macho Man looked exactly. Can I talk? Can you shut up?
I'm sorry.
He looked exactly like Randy Savage. He sounded exactly like Randy Savage.
Except he was 5'5".
No, he wasn't. He wasn't. Well, first of all, I was like 6'1". I had on giant heels.
Yeah, you looked huge.
I looked
you
like,
look huge.
He called me a tall drink of water. This Randy Savage guy. He was like, you are a tall drink of water. I made him break character though. He never broke character. And he was in the Dudley's line and then he came to mine and he's doing all the Randyisms and he's talking like him. And I go, should I sign this to Randy? Is that what I'm running, Randy? And he goes, well, if you want to, but it's not really my name. And then he started talking normal. He goes, my name is Keith. I was like, oh, did you say Keith?
Come on.
It was great. But then he went right back into Randy, but it was cute. And you know, they were so nice and the fans were so sweet and it was a good experience. I was glad that I went. It was great to hang out with the boys again because so many of them, like Chris Chetty, I haven't seen him in over 20 years. So we sat together, reminisced, showed each other pictures of our kids. There I am. Hello. And yeah, it was a good time. I had fun. I was glad I went, you know.
Those are some leather ass pants that you had on.
Yeah, I like those pants. I like
it
that
was
shirt
some
too.
leather pants.
It was hot though. I was sweating. I was like, is it hot in here or is it my menopause? I don't know what's going on, but it was very warm. It was very warm. But it was fun. I'm blessed to be able to get these opportunities and do stuff like this because like I always tell the boys, don't complain. People dig ditches for less money than for a week. There's the cosplayers. That's not the Randy Savage I'm talking about. That was a different one. The one I saw was in green and black and he had the cowboy hat on and he looked exactly like him. I mean, this guy was fine, but the other one looked exactly like him.
Who's the guy next to Sandman and Mankind supposed to be? Like,
I don't know.
Cosplay casual rhino?
That might just be a fan picture. Maybe a fan said, can we take a picture with you? The Sandman guy was short, but from afar, he looked like Hack. Because every time he walked around, he would look at our table and put a stick up, look at their stick up in the air. We're like, yo, it was fun. It was just a good time.
Don't dress up like Spider-Man.
I love these conventions. They're fun. It's a bitch when you got to wake up at 5 a.m. to get to them. But once you're there and you're with your friends, man, there's nothing better. I loved it.
Well, you'll be heading my way sooner rather than later. We're going to have a ball next month.
I hope so, because you'll be my only friend there, you and Betty. I won't have my other compadres, so you have to keep me entertained.
Oh, we will, without a doubt. I'm glad you had a good weekend.
I did. And look at my hat. I got everybody.
That's a nice hat.
Every single person in ECW that was there signed this hat. So I figured I'd wear it today because I love it. It was a good time. So
very, very nice.
Thanks for coming, everybody who came out to see us. Thank you so much.
Well, I got to turn the attention from what we were talking about with your friends in ECW to a friend of yours, excuse me, in ECW, as we have an update on Tammy Stitch. And now we have some details that came out of the hearing from this past September that gave us a little bit more into what's been going on. And she has officially been labeled a danger to society.
Oh, wow.
And that is quite the stamp by the legal team there.
Is that a thing? Like, is that a thing that the judge labels people like before they get their sentencing? Does that affect how long she can go to jail for? Like,
apparently, if that's what it said in the
the
official statement here.
Yeah, because the first of all, I think her sentencing is like November 27th. So we're in October. Why did they make this a thing to come out and say, give this statement? Is it to add on to add time to her sentencing, or what?
I guess it's just a part of the discourse that goes into the facts of what's out there in the case. I mean, in the in the documents that out there is her whole criminal history. I mean, and just reading that is like you got to take time to go through it, including the fact some of it is still out and pending, and it's not closed. I mean, she's still technically, has open warrants and charges
from other
states. Not warrants, but charges in New Jersey still. So it's incredible how this story is still not done. And I mean, does it end in November? You know, if she gets the full 26 years, is it over? Is it, or we just, you know, she comes out when she's 74 years old, and
75 or 76. She's 50. Yeah, she's 50 years old. Well, here it says attorney R.J. Larissa filed a sentencing memorandum that calls Tammy Sitch a danger to society. So whatever the sentencing memorandum is, I don't really know what that means, but it says then it recounts like everything that happened. Which when I read this article, a lot of this stuff I never heard before. It says the defendant stated that vodka was her go-to, and she recalled leaving the house to go to Wawa for gas and then possibly to a 7-Eleven on the beach side in search for iced tea. A rotisserie chicken, tumbler-style cup, and open bottle of Grey Goose vodka was located in the defendant's front passenger seat after the crash. She had a whole chicken in her car?
Apparently. I hate to laugh, but I guess she
it's just weird. Like, she said when she went to the hospital, she said she was unaware that she was involved in a car crash, and she remembered making leftover burritos in her kitchen, and that she drank some vodka, but could not say how much. So, I don't know. I'm just reading this because this stuff that I didn't read before.
Yeah, I mean, and the details of crashing into the car, and then the car crashing into the other car. I mean, it's heartbreaking to see that in plain black and white.
Ridiculous. It's makes me sick. This whole story makes me sick. So, but you know, being labeled a danger to society, I didn't know if this is like a death sentence. Like, you're definitely getting the full amount of time now. Like, does it add on to, because, you know, the last update that we heard, it was like, oh, she could get anywhere from 4 years to 25 years, right? And now it's like everybody's saying, well, she might get the full 26 years. And is it because that gentleman said she's a danger to society? Does this help their case?
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't understand how this law stuff works. I mean,
don't. Further down, it breaks the charges down and how those years come about. It says the maximum sentence on the DUI manslaughter is 15 years.
Right.
The driving while license suspended with death would typically be punishable by a maximum of 5 years. So, I mean, there's a breakdown of what each part of the 26 years, you know, would constitute. You got to think she's getting the full.
I don't know.
Max. I mean, it's honestly, it has to be at this point. I mean, it's just, there's too much out there. And again, like I said, the whole laundry list of her criminal history being in this report, it's, and it starts here in 2005 is the earliest I saw on here, February 15th, 2005. I mean, is that where it all went south from there on?
Was that her first arrest?
I guess that was the first arrest. I mean, so any substance abuse and any issues before, I mean, she had managed to keep it in control to an extent up to 2005. And then it just became the criminal side that got affected going forward. But I mean, it's the tale that just keeps unfolding. Like I said, every video we put out before, I've said, this is just where the story stops until the next chapter begins, and here we are again.
Yeah, I just don't know. I know she is being held in jail until I believe it's November 27th or 21st, whatever the date is. They're not going to let her out, which I didn't think they would. But it's just, good Lord, it makes me sick. This whole story, it could have been avoided. And it's a very sad outcome for all involved. And I can't. So, you know, everybody's predicting, oh, she'll get this, she'll get that. Nobody knows. I don't know. You know, we'll have to wait and see like everybody else. But man, I just tell my kids, do good, be a good person. Don't go to jail, please. You know, and I know it's an addiction. I'm not making light of it. A lot of the comments athletes were saying, like, you can't help an addiction by putting somebody behind bars. And it's like everybody else is like, oh, so what, do you reward them for, killing somebody or driving drunk? Like, how do you handle something like this? Everybody has a different opinion about it, and everybody's speculating, but nobody knows what's going to happen. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah. Well, again, like I've said in previous ones, this chapter is closing. We'll see where the next one picks up, and that'll be in November when the next, I guess that's the sentencing. Yeah. And we'll see how that unfolds. So unfortunately, danger to society is not a label that I think many want to have attached to their name, but Tammy, unfortunately, stuck with that for the present time. Terrible. But moving along, I mean, that's a transition.
What a segue.
I mean, I don't know where to go with that. Right? Let me see.
I think we closed with that one.
Yeah, maybe we should have closed with that one. On a lighter note, on a big note, actually, AEW went out, got the old checkbook. I would think it's readily available at this point.
I think so.
Seems like
I think that's pocket money for Tony Khan. I think he just went in his pocket and pulled out a wad.
It seems like they've got that checkbook pretty handy. They go out and they sign the biggest free agent out on the market. And I have to tell you, I think the transformation is complete. I believe they are officially WCW Junior. They have signed Adam Edge Copeland, the Rated R superstar, to join AEW. What are your thoughts on Edge joining AEW?
First of all, I think it's great. But why? You keep comparing it to WCW. If somebody is done with WWE, does that mean they need to retire? They can't go work somebody else?
Absolutely.
Or somewhere else, rather? Well, then why do you keep saying it's WCW 2.0? Of course they're going to go to the second biggest company out there.
Absolutely, yeah.
You're going to go where there's money. So shut your mouth and stop saying it's WCW 2.0. It's not. They're the only other company with a bank account that can afford these guys. So where else are they going to go?
That's true. That is very true.
It's 100% true. So where are they going to go besides AEW?
There's plenty of places that they could go.
Where? That have the money?
No. Sure they could work something out. I'm sure. So the transformation's complete. Now, let's get into it. So he debuts at the Wrestle Dream pay-per-view this past Sunday when we're recording this. Surprisingly, comes out to the WWE theme song done by Alter Bridge.
Tweaked a little bit.
A little bit,
but you know it.
But absolutely.
You hear it. Absolutely. Yep.
Brilliant move, in my opinion, because it's recognizable. He doesn't have to change a thing about his entrance. He looked natural as hell.
He looked great. He looked in great shape.
Re-energized.
Yeah. New lease on life.
Absolutely. And then what I think they debuted on Dynamite, the Rated R superstar comes along with him.
So WWE might have dropped the ball on that one. If they had a trademark for it, it might have lapsed and maybe he was able to pick it up, or they just thought they never needed to trademark that because he was in the company for so long. And, trademarks are expensive. Maybe not expensive to a multi-million-dollar company, but I know what they cost because we talked about it. I got the Queen of Extreme one done. And they never filed for that one. So maybe they didn't file for the, Rated R Superstar, or like I said, it did lapse after I think it's 7 years or something.
Yeah.
And maybe he just picked it up. It was open and he got his hands on it, which I think is great.
That was a shocker. I have to say, I was super surprised to see that because one thing, it's Superstar. Everybody identifies Superstar with WWE Superstar. So to see that, it had to have been, there was a time where Edge wasn't really on board with WWE. He might have swooped in and saw it himself and said, you know what, I'm saving this for a rainy day because, they had Rated R Superstar branded merchandise.
Right.
So they had to, you see what it's like. You have to file that trademark. You have to tell them what you're filing it for.
Yep.
Merchandise in one of the boxes.
Yeah, and if one little thing is different, you have to pay a whole nother thing to get that filed. So like if he had 4 things, that's 4 different times you have to pay. Like you can't just like if I wanted to change extreme from the E to the X and file it from, I would have had to pay again. I don't know if it's 1,300 or 2,000. I forget what it was,
Wow.
but you have to keep paying for everything that you trademark. You know what I mean? And I think he trademarked like 4 different things. From what I saw, I can't remember all 4 off the top of my head, but good for him.
Yeah.
Again, it's another kick to the balls for WWE, and I love it. You know,
He's a guy that I've heard nothing but good stuff about from the guys I've talked to over the years. They've always said he looked out for the younger guys on the European tours. He would take them out to eat. You know, he'd watch their back if there was some stuff going on in the hotels. He'd take certain guys under his wing and keep them out of trouble. So you kind of see a place like AEW that has maybe a more loose management style. They might need a vet like Edge to be somebody who looks out for talent that might need a little direction.
Not only that, but he could be one of the guys who can boost morale too. You know what I mean? Like seeing him jump over and knowing that, you know, it's going to make your program better might light a fire under people's butts. And, you know, I always said AEW is something special. I know you disagree with me, but I just feel like in the short time that they've been around, they've made a huge impact on the wrestling business. And to give Vince a run for his money and, you know, so to speak, I think that speaks volumes. To have 3 national shows, to be able to take guys who are still in their prime when there's nowhere else to work and give them a home and give them a place to shine. I think that's a great thing for the wrestling business. Whether you're an AEW fan, whether you're a WWE fan, be a wrestling fan. We talked about this. Be happy for the people who get to feed their families by doing something that they love to do. And seeing Edge still on a big platform elevates the company. You know what I mean? That elevates AEW because he was a huge name in WWE. Putting him right away with Christian and having that little turn, brilliant. Because down the line, you can put them back together. You can feud with the Hardys again. You can bring the Dudleys in. You could do so many different things, and the fans will eat it up. You know what I mean? And you can't say, oh, they did that 20 years ago. Well, so what? They can put twists on different things. They can reinvent the TLC match. They can do so many different things. I think it's an exciting time, and I love to see it. I love to see him in AEW. I think it's great.
Correct. And I want to get to the turn in just a moment. But where I say the transformation is complete is because this company was built on being different, okay? And giving us stars that we didn't know, and giving us stars that we were going to foster and bring up from the bottom to the top. We haven't really seen that yet. And all the big debuts and all the big guys that we've seen kind of rise to the top have just been guys that have either come back from WWE or have been these generational talents that are absolutely going to be stars. Now, MJF, obviously, he's, he stands out as a huge, I guess you call him an AEW original, even though he was making his ways through the independent scene as AEW is getting going.
Yeah.
Jade Cargill would be the one who was the biggest star, I guess, to come out, but jumped out and now is with WWE. The Young Bucks haven't really, I would say, translated to across the screen as big as they maybe thought they would, you know?
You don't think so?
Omega's not staying healthy. You know, who are their other big stars? You know, Moxley, WWE guy, Jericho, legend, WWE guy. Darby Allin could have been this big star, but I mean, they keep pushing him down the card. I mean, so that's why it's all the WWE guys. So that's why I keep saying it's like WCW. Every time a new guy is debuting, it's just like the old days where it was so, oh my God, it's so-and-so. But I love Edge being there. I think it's great. That, to me, as much as I don't love AEW, probably my second favorite AEW moment behind Punk's debut was that Edge debut last week.
I feel like if there was more than one company out there on this level, then it would be, where's he going to go? There would be the speculation like, ooh, where's he going to go? But of course, we know they're going to end up in AEW because it is the only Fed who can afford to hire all these guys. And granted, you're saying, oh, WC. I understand the comparison that you're making, but technically, if there was even a third promotion out there, then you can, argue the fact like, okay, is he going to go here or is he going to go there? Of course, they're going to go to AEW. But I think it's a feather in Tony's cap because I don't know what his finances are, but I think Edge could be comfortable enough to stay home for the rest of his life at this point and not
without
work
question
anymore. It goes back to, do you still have that last match in you? Do you still have another run in you? Do you still have the passion for the business in you? And it looks like he does. So I'm excited. Even though I don't watch the product 100%, I still keep up with clips. I still try to watch the occasional pay-per-view. I'm excited to see what they do with these two. Now, I did see that Christian was able to drop an F-bomb the other night on TV. And you don't really hear the F word unless it's a mistake or a mishap, or the camera picked it up when somebody's, it takes a bump. Oh, my effing arm hurts, or that type of thing, right? You don't hear it directly on the mic. And if they do say it, it's usually beeped or something. This was a live broadcast. Is it for shock value? Like what else could it be, right? Like dropping F-bombs, bringing Edge back, like, oh, we're the edgy company. We do this kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Compelling segment. Well done. Edge was super. Adam Copeland. It was funny. He said he had never heard. They were chanting Adam, 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 and he goes, "I've never heard that before. It sounds really awesome." Super emotional promo. Let's do it one more time. Let's go get these tag teams. Let's do it together.
Right, and then embrace.
They embrace, and Christian, looking at him, because Christian's a super heel, right? Super heel. Looking at him, finally embraces him, and then drops the go fuck yourself, right? It was a shocker. It was definitely a mic drop moment.
Mm-hmm. Was it too much?
Was it necessary? Now, here's where I'll flip it and ask you the question. You worked with a guy very closely who was not, and I mean not sheepish, when it came to dropping the F-bomb every night on that microphone. But that camera wasn't always live to all the people watching. It was for the house a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, with kids watching, whatever, but this is 2023, did they go too far with it?
I feel like this time, no. I just, for me, I thought it was like shock value. Like, did he just say that? Like, oh my God. Like, there were so many first, with him being there, with Adam debuting, and then with this angle that they're doing, and then dropping the F word. Now, if they start to do it regularly, I think it's going to be a problem. With our program, in the early days, we were always live to tape. So we would be able to beep, beep, beep. You heard a lot of that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of our guys use that word very freely. And mostly in every promo, there was an F-bomb. It got to the point where it was a little too much. Now, ECW wasn't for the kids. We never marketed to a young audience, although they were in the audience. They were there.
Tony Khan was there.
Who?
Tony Khan.
Well, I'm talking about 5- and 6-year-old kids. If their parents wanted to take them to an ECW show, they knew what they were getting involved in. And it was on the parents. It wasn't on us. We're not going to change our product for you. You should know better not to get your children in this building. That's the way I looked at it. But when you're on a national level like this and you do have children as your fan base, you need to kind of watch what you're doing. You know what I mean? So I feel like this was okay. But if they start to do this kind of stuff every single week, I think it's going to become a problem. And I think the viewership might go down Because not for nothing, if if I'm walking through my house and I hear an F-bomb dropped on one of my kids' iPads, right away I'm like, who you watching? Get that off. Who is that? Who's that guy? And then I look him up to see what kind of content he has. And like my daughter's 14 years old, but I still don't want her listening to a guy who's going to say F every 5 seconds when he's playing the video game.
Right.
Like that's not cool to me. Like that kind of language we don't use in my house. You know what I mean? And if I can keep my kids in a bubble, I will. And I think a lot of parents might agree with me on that. So as much as, you like shock value and it's cool and it's edgy and it's hip, you're going to lose some of your younger demographic if you keep this pace up. So I think once is fine, but I would say lay low for a while before it happens again.
They're saying the rated R era has begun. Maybe they're taking that very literally. The rated R superstar is there. But again, I have to say, I think that's the best segment that they've had both on Dynamite and then the pay-per-view segment as well in months.
Because they're going to have to change the TV rating. If this kind of language keeps up, I don't know if it's for everyone now or if it's TV 14. I'm not really sure what comes on, when the show starts. But, if they continue this language, it's going to have to be like, what is it, TV? Would it be 17 or rated R? Which would
be TVMA.
MA. Yeah, that's even worse.
Which, I don't even know. Do they even do that for shows? I haven't even seen that. I haven't watched regular TV in so long. I don't even know if they still do that.
I know on a couple of my reality shows, it comes up in the I think it's the upper left hand corner. But if you're a parent and you're not privy, you don't sit down with your kids and you actually watch the program, and you're just walking by and you see a TV MA, you're going to tell your 9-year-old, get this off. What are you watching? Yeah, I would. Yeah. Some parents might not care, and that's fine. You raise your kids the way you want to. But for me, I wouldn't let them watch a mature show at a young age. It's just not happening in my house.
Yeah, even in the Attitude Era, they didn't drop the F-bomb on WWF TV. I mean, they might throw out a curse that snuck through, but they'd throw the bleep out, or they would have the 7-second delay,
right?
And you'd hear it drop out.
Okay.
If it made it through, it would drop, and that's, again, why I was shocked it made it through. And good, it was great for shock value, but we are desensitized to, curse words and swearing.
Right.
In this day and age. And that is not old man yelling at the cloud. That is not, again, I'm the same way that you are. I don't want my kids talking that way. It's just the way I was brought up. I still don't curse in front of my mom, my dad, my grandma just passed away. Nobody says anything bad in front of her. No.
Yeah.
Just the way it was.
I think it's a respect thing too. And I heard a father was with his young teenage son over the weekend. Every other word was the F word. And the kid was kind of just standing there. And I'm just like, oh, okay. I felt uncomfortable because I was just like, do you have to curse so much in front of your son?
He wasn't looking at your leather pants, was he?
I don't know what he was looking at, but
because if he was looking at your leather pants, then, the F-bomb might have been appropriate.
But you get my point. Like, I get the point. Yeah, I don't like it. But I think in this case, I think it was shock value.
Absolutely.
And I think it made everybody talk. And that's what you want to do. You want to get everybody talking about your product. So good for Tony and good for Adam.
Well, good for him. So we'll continue to talk about their product because I have to say, there's one character that has caught my attention that I want to bring to your attention that I'm not sure if you've seen yet. Have you seen Tony Storm's new character?
Oh, my God. I love it. I've been watching her vignettes on Twitter, and I absolutely love it. This girl, so friggin' good. She's so good. They're saying she's kind of a Marilyn Monroe clone.
Timeless
It's
Tony
different
Storm.
RJ.
Yeah, there's RJ City. Yeah. This was I'll just let it play a little bit.
To show this?
Yeah, well, I was going to cover it up, but I was just kind of showing. Yeah, I'm going to have it play on the side while we were talking. So she's got kind of that old style, like you said, Marilyn Monroe look to her.
She's great. Look at her acting skills are great. She's very good, and I think the accent adds a lot too because she's Australian, right?
Yes.
Yes. eloquent speaker, but just her actions. Like when I watched her walk to the ring and like the lights, and she was just like, oh, it's so bright. Oh God. And then like she's starting to smear her lipstick a little bit onto her face.
Yes.
I think she's great. It's that old-timey Hollywood vibe. I love the short hair. I think it looks beautiful on her. It's just something different. And what did she say? Tits up and watch for the shoe. That's her.
Yes.
That's her thing that she does. And I love it. I think she's great. That's like one of the old-timey bathing suits that she's wearing.
I was just going to point that out. She's wearing like a very classic style now ring attire as well.
Right. Yeah. I think it's brilliant. It's something that the other girls aren't doing. It's not your typical gear. I'm surprised she doesn't have knee pads on. No, I'm looking at her. But anyway, I think she's it's a wonderful character. It's something, what was that? That was weird. But it's something outside of the box, and she is killing it because everybody's talking about her right now and saying how over she is. Yeah, I think it's great.
So now when you have an established character like she had, okay, and then she was a part of the group that was with Soraya and Ruby Soho,
mm-hmm.
and they were the outcasts, and they were taking over, and they were spray painting people like the NWO. I thought that was cool too. But you make a drastic change like that as a viewer, as a fan. Is it hard to restart, or as a worker, is it hard to restart yourself after you were established in a group and now you got to rethink things and do a whole nother character? And essentially, she was doing that interview with RJ City to introduce a new character, but now we're seeing her basically in squash matches to introduce this new persona to an audience that already knew her and already knows her as a well-established character.
I feel like if you pull it off the right way and you get over, then the fans aren't going to care what you did before. It could always be like, the other two girls held me down, this sort of thing, and this is the real me, and I just needed to come out and express how I feel. And that's how you introduce a new character. And if she would have came out and totally bombed, then if the fans would have crapped on her, I would have said, oh, that it's a mistake. But when it's an art, and when you can pull it off, the fans aren't going to care what you did before because you're so brilliant now. Right. And they love it. Like, people are eating this up because it is so different than what the other girls are doing. And being different is okay. And it's good. And she's getting herself over. So, it doesn't matter what you did before as long as you're over now.
But she's always been kind of different. I mean, she's always had a different look to her. She's always had she had the little thing under her eye. She had different kind of style. So she's always had a way to stand out.
Yeah, I just feel like with going back and giving the nod to like old fashioned Hollywood glamour, who's doing that?
Yeah,
it's just totally different. And wearing a high-waisted bathing suit type of deal to the ring, and I just like it. I'm really digging the whole concept of going back in time. Because it's like, what is it, 1940s, 1950s glamour?
Yep.
Which was a beautiful decade for women. The women back then were absolutely gorgeous, and she's absolutely gorgeous. And she cut her hair, and she's doing the old, the pin curls and the makeup, and it's just everything works. And she has the look, but the acting is what is putting her over the top. And like we talked about Alexa Bliss before, trying to, could she be in an acting role outside of WWE? I could see Toni Storm leaving the business to become an actress. To me, she's convincing. Her delivery and the way she reacts in her face in these vignettes, not even when she's working, because she's a good worker. I haven't seen much of her in the ring. I'm really focusing on these vignettes because they're so entertaining to me. And I just feel like if she wanted to do something else besides wrestle, she can definitely start acting. She's pulling this off like beautifully. And she's one to watch. She is just going to keep blowing up and getting herself over. And, you know, where do you go with her? Do you make her your world champ? The women's champion? I think she's got a good run in her. I think they should put the belt back on her eventually, eventually, not right now,
Right.
because she's getting over without it, but down the line, I think it would be a brilliant choice.
Agreed. Yeah, no, I completely agree. That's quite the endorsement that you just gave her.
I love her character. I think it's great. It's entertaining. It's very entertaining.
We'll see where that develops in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
But an interesting note on TV ratings that you sent me earlier today. You want to dig into that? It was an interesting article that you sent me earlier this morning.
Yeah, about the women versus the men.
Yeah, you want to pull that up? You have that on your phone?
I do.
I didn't throw it up on the screen because you sent it to me on the phone. But
yeah,
if you have it in front of you.
So they're saying there was some wrestling history that was made and nobody noticed was the headline. Actual headline is WWE made wrestling history Tuesday night and nobody noticed. So basically, they were comparing the women to the men in, what is it, a 2-hour block?
Right.
I guess. And on the one episode, 524 2022 episode of NXT, they ran some kind of tournament and they ran 4 consecutive women's matches. And then this past Tuesday, they also ran 4 consecutive women's matches. Of the 6 matches that took place on NXT, 4 were women, doubling the number of men's matches. Total amount of in-ring time for the women, bell to bell, was 24 minutes, 53 seconds. The total time for the men was 20 minutes and 29 seconds. The longest female match of the night was at 11 minutes and 55 seconds. So they never really showcased the women that much.
No, that's a lot of time.
Yeah, that's a lot of time to invest in the women. So over half of the show was female dominated, and they said that hadn't happened. It happened in 2022, but that's the only other time was this week, and not anybody was talking about it.
Right, and on NXT of all shows, which is the developmental show.
Yeah. It says, not counting announcers, backstage interviewers, and referees, 19 female performers and 19 male performers got screen time on NXT, which was an even split. But the standout stat that the guy is talking about, he says there was a 31-minute stretch of NXT television on Tuesday, just before the main event, where the only interruption to women's division storylines was commercial breaks and a 35-second Brian Pillman Jr. video package. They're saying nothing like this ever happened in AEW, and it happens in WWE. Nobody remembers. So,
okay.
NXT, it was just a point of NXT really pushing the women's division and giving them more time than the men. And you never see that happen.
No.
So kudos to the women and the bookers. And I don't know what the ratings were, but they got their share of airtime. And they were showcased this week. So
that's great.
Yeah, good for them.
Tournaments are tough too, because tournaments can either take you in or take you out.
Yeah.
And if they're able to keep people that invested, then I guess, the tournament was good. Now, I couldn't tell you who was in it. I don't know anything about it, but anybody who's in NXT, here's one thing I've found to be a criticism of NXT. They all look alike. They all wrestle the same because they're all trained by the same people.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're in a tournament, is it like watching the same match over and over?
Well, that's when you have to make your character your own. And that goes back to what we just said about Toni Storm. She's so different looking.
Right.
And it draws you to her. I don't watch NXT. And I get a lot of slack why do you run a wrestling podcast and you don't watch any of the products? And it's like, well, it's hard. Number one, I try to keep up on social media, but this is not only a wrestling podcast. We call it a lifestyle podcast.
First 20 minutes, you talked about your hoo-ha.
If I didn't include wrestling, then I'd be doing a disservice to the community, because that's what I've been doing for 30 years. But I do try to keep up with a little bit here and there. I'm not going to say I'm the biggest wrestling fan these days, but I still have a passion for it. And I like to discuss and talk about what's happening. And I just thought that was an interesting note that the women, were dominating the men this week. Yeah. So I was happy.
Yeah, that was very cool.
Yeah, very, very cool. Another quick thing to note, Adam Cole.
Yes.
Back on the injured list. The poor guy can't catch a break.
Oh.
Bay is now bed. He will be out for a significant amount of time.
But they're keeping him on TV, though. They're trying to find ways to keep him on TV, which I do like, because the big one that I always look at is Kurt Angle got hurt in around 2001, and that was after you guys closed and WCW closed, and you couldn't take any stars off TV. And they kept Kurt, and Steve Austin was hurt too, so you couldn't take either one of them off. So they threw them in backstage segments, and that's all they did for like 3-4 weeks.
Oh, let me tell you something. In ECW, Shane was injured.
Oh yeah, forget about it.
So much, and we were never off of TV.
Yeah,
he never stayed home. We used to. I'm sure I said this before, but we would have to go up to New York, to Scarsdale. We would go to the production studio. We'd have to meet Joey Styles at 6 a.m. in the morning, fully dressed in gimmick, because Joey had to go to work, because Joey still had a real job. And we would go into the basement and we would film all the vignettes for the shows, and we were never off of TV, because Shane was the top heel. You don't take your top heel off of TV. You'll lose momentum when when you're not on TV anymore. Nobody wants to give up their spot. So Paul always found stuff for us to do, and you want to keep those faces fresh and for the fans to see. So I think it's smart that they keep Adam Cole, on TV, but it's just so sad, because he just got back and now he's injured again, and it's just got to mess with your mind. Like, he's probably thinking, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, I mean, Shane, Shane had the elbow,
He was always in a freaking cast.
Yeah.
We're in a what do we call those? The metal, I don't know.
Bionic brace?
Yeah, the bionic arm, we used to call him. It was, the brace. It was ridiculous. He was so injury prone back then. And Paul just would not take him off the TV. And I'm grateful for that. Even the one pay-per-view, we didn't work on it, but we opened the show and we sat in the box with Joey, and we were still showcased. So we didn't lose TV time, because when you take somebody off of TV, you're going to forget about them, and no one wants to lose their spot. So if you're in good graces with the head guy and he wants to keep you on TV, you better believe you're going to stay on TV, and you have to think of stuff that you can do to keep that spot going. So,
but do you end up getting that label of, oh, well, he can't be trusted with that top spot because he's injury prone?
Well,
is that something that sets in after a while? Because look, Adam Cole, so he obviously was a big star in NXT before he jumped to, before that in ROH, and then he goes to NXT, then he makes his way to AEW, was hurt when he got to AEW, finally gets healthy, then he gets hurt again, and he gets healthy, then he had this great run with MJF. But, again, he's hurt. You take him off TV, you find something for him to do. Can you finally take the time to say, well, can we trust him to stay healthy for more than a lot of time? He's had criticism about his body, that he doesn't work out. He's not the biggest guy in the world. Oh, yeah, people have criticized that a lot.
Well, I feel like there's a lot of wrestlers that don't work out. There's some that do, there's some that don't. And that goes back to, he doesn't look like a wrestler. His body doesn't look like a wrestler. Adam Cole, it looks to be in good shape to me, but you can't fault a guy for getting injured. Things happen. Do you really think that he wanted to go in the ring and get injured and being taken off television? Like, nobody wants that to happen. You're riding high. You're in a top spot. You're in MJF. You're all over the place doing these vignettes, these buddy vignettes. They're doing stuff for the video game. They're doing stuff for appearances. Like, I see them all over the place. And then the poor guy goes and gets injured. So for anyone that has that, has that to say about somebody, like, oh, he's injury prone. No one wants to get hurt. No one wants to go and have surgeries done. He's not doing it on purpose. He's not trying to sabotage his own career. Like, there's not one person on this earth who wants to get hurt when they're in a top spot. So I don't like when people say that. Is he injury prone? Well, things happen. They said that about Shane. Shane is injury prone. Shane was hurt a lot. And it's hard because when you injure one body part and it gets injured again. He even said this to me the other day. We were talking about my husband being on the pick line. And Shane said, tell him, don't go and try to work out too soon. Remember me, remember what I did. And I was like, dude, you ripped your cast off. And he's like, I know. Yeah. And he's like, I was a dipshit. I was so stupid. And I'm just like, and I begged you to leave it on because he wanted to get back out there. But if the doctor says 4 to 6 weeks and at 2 weeks, you're ripping your cast off, you're coming back too soon, you're going to re-injure that arm. And that's what happened. So you have to follow the doctor's advice. You have to get healthy and you have to do everything in your power to mainstay on television. And Tony is giving Adam the opportunity to stay on TV. So hopefully it works out for him and he can bounce back, earlier, but you have to listen to what your doctors say. But there's no one on this earth who does it to sabotage themselves. So, for all the fans that are saying negative things and he's not good, he's getting injured, blah, blah, blah. He's not injuring himself. Something happened. There was a mishap. It wasn't intentional. You have to think of it that way.
Yeah. You get in the ring.
Yeah. Bump and then talk to me.
You lace up the boots and then you try it out. It
sucks when you get hurt, man. I can't, I'm an advocate for being careful and listening to what the doctors say and doing the right thing and waiting it out. And hopefully he won't come back too soon and he won't re-injure himself. The working out, does that makes you stronger? It makes you look better. Does that help with moves? I don't know. I don't know what the injury was that took him out. I think it was when he did the run in. Didn't he run in? I'm pretty, I was told it was a run in. He was running down the ramp. Ugh. And it stepped wrong or something that shouldn't have happened.
Hey, it happened to Vince McMahon. I mean, Vince McMahon walked to the ring and tore 2 quads.
I'm telling you never know what's going on out there. So I feel bad for him because I don't know him personally, but I know being a worker in the business, this is not something that you want to happen to yourself, especially when you're getting pushed to the moon. And he was getting a huge push. So if they could keep him on TV and keep the fans invested in him, he'll be fine.
Absolutely. Get well, baby.
Baby.
Sure, he'll be busy. Him and Britt, they're very busy on the convention scene. You'll catch them at a Galaxy Con. They're
we can still do the conventions, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, you'll see him out. He'll be with his crutches. They'll be
go.
there. Very nice. Well, this was a jam-packed episode, Queen.
We didn't get to everything either, but we got a lot done.
What did we miss?
I think we missed something. I think there was one more thing we were supposed to talk about, but that's fine. I can't remember off the top of my head.
I can't remember either, but it was quite the episode. If you joined our YouTube membership, you got to see
channel membership.
Yep. Yeah, you got to see this whole episode in its entirety. You got to see the extra that we dropped as well about Hulk Hogan and his perhaps
Hoganisms.
Some might call it Liomania. I'm not fully on board with it. I may dispute a couple if you watch that episode, but it's up for debate.
It's up for debate for sure. Okay.
All right. Well, we'll start to get out of here. If you want to follow me in the world of social media, it's at Chad E&B on Twitter and at IB Exclusives on Instagram. You can catch me on the new It's Husey Hello on YouTube. I think Husey actually just opened up memberships as well.
You think he'll comp me a membership?
He didn't comp me when I put the episode up, so I don't know. Maybe you.
Okay, I'll try to
But
get
I was on there as a guest with another Chad Zumach.
our old friend Chad Zumach.
Yes.
What's he doing?
Yes, he's doing great. Recalled the episode he was on with us.
Did he remember it?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
So yeah, Husey just posted that. So that's the latest and greatest from the Chadster.
All right. If you want to follow me across the board on social media, you can find me at ECW Diva Francine. If you are not subscribed to this channel, if you're just coming across us, please subscribe. And if you see me on Twitter and I'm posting stuff about this YouTube channel, can you retweet it for us? Can you spread the word? Because my goal is to get to 10,000 subscribers by December 31st. And we are chugging by. We are moving slowly. We're getting up there, but we need your help. So please spread the word, help us subscribe, share, and with that is a wrap.